we've been on a long expedition, Tiffy and I, kind of like the Lewis and Clark expedition. We've been navigating this waterway here, and we need a place to stop and rest for a few days before we continue on with our journey. So, once again, I'm going to show you how to incorporate a boat into your shelter. So it is October now, and the ground is still fairly warm. So even though temperatures are going to dip down into the upper 30s tonight for a low, the ground isn't going to really pull a lot of our body heat away from us. So we're going to build a shelter where we sleep on the ground, and we're going to build a simple shelter using the tarp and little bushcraft skills, and then we're going to use the boat as a reflector to reflect that heat right back at us. Well, it is step 2 time. Shelter is complete, and step 2, we're having a brew dog. Fox. It's a pineapple beer. I'm not a big fan of pineapple, but I'm a firm believer in giving everything a fair shot. Cheers. Ugh. Yeah, pineapple. This one goes to Tiffy. No good. They all can't be a winner. Good thing I brought other ones.
It's delicious. Ooh.
All right, let's talk about this shelter. So what we have here is an idea that I had in mind some time ago. But the idea was that your protection above would also be your ground cloth. So by creating like a U shape or a C shape with the tarp, I'm able to use the tarp as a ground cloth, but also as protection from above. Now, I will say that this shelter is designed for keeping heat in. It is not designed for keeping the rain out. So that is something to keep in mind. If we were in a heavy rain, I would probably do things up a little bit differently. But this would keep you dry in a light rain, and it would keep you, hopefully, keeps us very warm tonight. The boat, acting as a reflector, is going to probably do a really good job of reflecting the heat from the fire back in. I'm a little concerned about smoke. The shelter's facing the north, so the boat is actually blocking the north wind. And I'm hoping that since the boat is taller than my roof of my shelter, I'm hoping that creates sort of a draw and draws the smoke out the top. That's the plan anyway. There was a little cussing and a little bit of finagling just to get everything to set right with the shelter. But the 2 tripods hold the ridge beam across, and then I did stick a stick, in the bottom corner of the tarp to pull it tight. And I put a couple stakes in the ground, so otherwise, and then of course I've got guy lines pulling it somewhat tight. I brought my Mexican blanket out here mainly because I think it looks cool. And I had enough blankets on the bed, so I put it on top of my shelter. I am worried that it's going to catch sparks though, so I may not keep it there. But yeah, that's that. So another cool thing about using the boat as a reflector is you could hang your lanterns. If you hung them just a little bit lower than I have mine, you could actually reflect some of the light back into your shelter as well. So it should be a pretty cool little setup. One of the things you'll notice that I did here was I piled the wood next to the head of the bed. You'll notice in my videos I almost always do that. And the reason that is during cold weather, it does 2 things. For one, it's blocking the wind that's coming in from this direction. But it's also going to allow me to reach up in the middle of the night, grab a piece of wood, and put it on the fire without having to get out of my warm, comfortable bed. I'm also going to keep some kindling next to the bed in case I wake up and there's no fire and I want flames immediately. Then I can put that kindling on the fire and get it going again real quick without even having to leave my bed. So here we are about to get the fire started, and I'm going to do my very first time. I'm going to attempt. I'm going to give it the old college try. I'm going to try to make a fire with flint and steel. This will be my first time doing that, so I'm kind of excited about it. And but I'm not going to get discouraged. So what I have here, what I find works the best for getting a fire going, is slowly step up the size of your material, of your fuel. So we're starting with a bird's nest here. And then I've got just a little bit thicker stuff with it. And then I've got some dry dead cattail material here. And then I've got some pencil lead up to finger size material here. And then I have finger size and bigger here. So the idea is I'm going to step up this fire a little bit at a time once I get it going. In my little kit here, in my little cigar Swisher Sweet tin here, I've got flint and steel. So I got a piece of flint. And I've got a striker, a steel striker, and then I've got some char cloth, which is just cotton that is turned into charcoal, basically. And I'm going to try a few different methods of sparking and lighting this char cloth, and then I'm going to insert the char cloth into my bird's nest and try to blow it to flame, and then add more and more. So this is going to be interesting, but we'll see. We'll see how it works. I don't know if I want to hold the steel in my right or left hand or what yet, but I'm just going to do that. Okay, that's comfortable for me. So what I'm going to do is put the char cloth on top of the rock. I've seen a lot of guys do this, and I'm going to see if I can get it to catch a spark by just doing that, and hopefully one of the sparks comes up and lands on the char cloth. Here we go. That one didn't take me very long. I got fire for the first time in my life with flint and steel. There is not much more rewarding than like achieving these kind of skills. There's just something, it's primal, and it just feels very, very rewarding If you're not out in nature doing this kind of stuff, I really strongly recommend it because it's good for your mind. It's good for your spirit, especially when you have successes like that. And so my next step on my journey of fire is going to be putting together a bow drill set. So we'll be talking about that soon. But flint and steel, first time. Super excited. Okay. We made a little adjustment on our shelter here. We were hitting our head on it, so I just raised it up. It'll capture more heat that way, and it'll allow us to sit on the edge of our bedroll and enjoy the fire without, hitting our head constantly on the shelter. So, yep. So I just extended my poles, put new poles in the ground. That'll work. I was just thinking, man, you could put a good barbecue grill over this. That's exactly what we're gonna do. I'm wondering if we should start cooking. Well, we're sitting here just enjoying the fire, getting ready to burn these last few logs down into some nice coals, a nice coal bed, so we can cook tonight. And but one thing I was curious about, this is Tiffany's first time really doing anything bushcraft, and so I wanted to see, like, since the temperature is going to be getting down into the 30s tonight, we're getting relatively close to freezing at that point. So, I mean, it's getting cold by most people's standards. So my question is, with this fire, we've got our fire at about 3 feet long right now, and I've just kind of made a rectangle around it with logs. I've just got it kind of burning the whole thing as even as possible to make a nice coal bed for our cooking here. And my question for you, Tiffany, is like, how warm is it compared to how warm you thought that it would be?
It is by far astronomically warmer than I thought it was going to be. So I had like 5 layers on top, 2 layers on bottom earlier when we hiked, and I was still kind of cold. But we came back and you built up the fire, and now that it's longer even, I can't even fathom like how warm it was going to be. So I've already shut off 2 of my top layers and 1 of my bottom layers since we've been back because it's so warm close to the fire.
Yeah, so one of my things that I think about a longer fire is, like, every time I've ever camped beside a long fire, my whole entire body is just warm from your head to your toe. So, if you're in extreme conditions, cut your logs longer. It's less cuts you have to make anyway. So if you can make a fire that's 6 feet long, and those coals, a nice coal bed that's 6 feet long, and you're 6 feet tall, that's a nice warm fire. And so for what we're doing tonight, a good 3 foot long fire is like perfect. It radiates. If you're 6 feet tall, a 4 foot fire is going to pretty well keep you warm because it's going to radiate out the top and the bottom anyway. So it's just kind of cool. Just that the main thing is just feeding it evenly throughout the night. There's going to be cool spots and stuff, but if you can keep that fire, the longer you can keep it, the more comfortable you're going to be. Okay, maybe not as fast as that. How many times am I going to have to chew this? Ho, 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 hum. Well, all right, it is the next morning, so I got my face full of chicken and belly full of chicken, and I hit the hay for the evening. And on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being my most comfortable night's sleep in the bush, this was probably a good 6 or 7. That's pretty good. So I'm pretty happy. I'm a pretty happy camper, as they say. I did learn that I still need to bring more water. So let's talk a little bit about this shelter. This shelter did great. This tarp has one silver side and one black side. So I put the black side facing the sun. So as soon as the sun came out this morning, I let the fire die down. There was no need to have the fire going anymore after the sun started hitting this tarp, because the tarp heated up like you ever ride the black horse on the playground equipment, and it always would burn your butt off when you were a kid. Yeah, so it's the same kind of deal. So it got rather warm underneath this tarp this morning. So lesson learned. I didn't need nearly the sleeping bag that I thought I did, and I did not need as much of a fire as I thought I would. Obviously the boat reflected pretty well nearly 100% of the fire that would have went that way, so it's pretty awesome. Cool setup here. I would do this again. This one definitely is what I would call a success. Oh goodness. For all of you long-haired bushcrafters out there, your hair is always a rat's nest in the morning in the bush. Well, thanks everyone for watching. I think I'm going to get this camp torn down and head back to reality. I have to make a promotional video today for somebody, so I'm gonna get to work on that. Thank you all for watching. As always, we'll see you next time in the bush. Remember, don't ever be sad when you have to tear down your camp, because every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. This is